All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It's Tuesday. It's May 13th, and schedule leak season is here. And we're going to talk about it this morning. We're going to talk about all of the schedule options, or at least the schedule that we know of right now, and what's been released previously with the international schedule, and then all the leaks that have been happening over the last 24 to 36 hours. And then I've got that little birdie that's been sitting on my shoulder and told me a few things this year. Last year, we hit them all. Right? I said that we would have X amount of Monday night, Sunday night games. We got them. This year, I'm kind of getting that same information. Last week, it was 4, but we're going to talk about it today. I'm hoping everything's rolling here on the YouTube side, but let me get the guys in here in just a minute. We'll be right back.
Yeah, 1 2 1 2.
Hey yo, AC.
1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Against all odds, 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 against all odds.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen. Corey, Riley, how's it going today?
Riley, how are you, brother? I'm good, man. We woke up early together, dude.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. But yeah, with you being just a state away, we've got brother in arms out here.
Yes, sir.
On the West Coast. So yeah, that's
sir.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Well, you got your mic situation? Yeah, adjusted.
I had an issue. Like, it said that the video wasn't playing on YouTube. So I'm like, oh my God, are we even live? What's going on here? Yesterday we had an issue too. So it's just YouTube some days, but we're good to go.
A couple people in the chat asking if you could turn up your mic volume. They said it was a little low to start. So
Every day they say that. And you know what? They're right.
It's Eric,
because
so
something's not turned on the new browser. So let me get that turned on.
There's always something we can rely on, but Will usually figures things out pretty quick. So let us know, chat, if we are audible, if we are clear and legible.
Should be good now. I don't know about legible. I don't know if I'm writing today. All right, let's do this. So we got a lot of topics. Pack show today. It's schedule leak season. I mean, this is the time of the year that everyone starts getting, super excited about what their team is going to do. And then a certain individual has come out and said that someone in the NFC North is going to win the Super Bowl this year. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some schedule leaks that I've heard for the Detroit Lions specifically. And I'll probably do that at the very end. So we'll get through the schedule leaks that we know of, the international schedule that we know of, and then at the very end of the show, I'm going to keep you guys plugged in, right? Then I'll tell you what I know, what I've heard. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Rumors are rumors, right? Every year we get them, and every year we hope to get a few right. Just so happens we got a lot right last year. So let me get today's schedule open and get off and run with one of our first topics. So I wanted to bring this up, just one, Corey, because I wanted to get your either your affirmation or your opinion here on Jaylen Milroe. At the very first mock draft that I did this year, I said that Jaylen Milroe was going to be the best quarterback coming out of this draft. Didn't mean that he was going to be taken number 1 overall. Last year, I did the same thing with Jaden Daniels. I put him at number 1. I said he should be the number 1 quarterback taken. They took Caleb Williams. I said it was going to be a mistake. Obviously, Jaden had a really good year. This year, I just see something different in Jaylen Milroe. And I'm not saying that I know something different than any of the 32 NFL teams, because I don't. I know like 1% of what they know. And what I saw and what I've heard yesterday or a couple days ago, when he was in camp, how good his arm looks and how crisp the ball looks flying through the air in tight spirals. And then you hear on the other side of the coin, well, you can't judge or evaluate a quarterback without pads on. And, just like how you can't evaluate a Isaac Tesla or anybody else running a route right now without pads on, because it's different, when you're able to jam them up the line or whatever you're doing, at the beginning or the top of the route, it would change if there was pads on. I get that. I get that for a positional player. But for the quarterback, in my opinion, the pads really aren't going to be in the way a whole lot. The things are custom made so that their arm is fairly free. what I saw out of the videos was an arm that was really good. I don't know if you were able to capture or see any of the videos. I don't know if you're able to see any of the videos on Jaylen Milroe, but give me your thoughts on early camp looks at a quarterback and how
Yeah.
you would view it.
Yeah, just so the chat is saying your mic jumped back down.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know if
see
there's
that.
an auto gain feature. Okay, cool. And just if the chat didn't hear, Will's asking me how do I feel about Jaylen Milroe and the footage that we saw about that ball coming out and the zip he has on it and how that might adjust when he puts pads on and in comparison to what you said about Jaden Daniels last year. I think there's something to be said for football to be played, how it's designed, right? So maybe the quarterback doesn't necessarily get affected by the pads himself, but everyone around him is now in pads, right? And so everything's a little slower for the receivers maybe getting off the line, right? It's kind of if you're familiar with the football or youth football world, there's 7-on-7 football, which a lot of guys, skill players, quarterbacks and receivers and running backs will do during the offseason. And then there's 11-on-11 football that you do with your high school. And football coaches are, on either side of the fence about it. Is it productive? Does it translate well to the game? Or, is it actually a detriment to what real football is about because it doesn't have the physicality? Obviously, quarterbacks are not getting hit every play, but so you can only evaluate so much that's not real football. And so I think just like what we were saying about the Lions and what you can and can't take away from one or two clips, I think we got to remember that what we're seeing is on social media, right? So they're only going to pick the best balls. They're only going to put it in the most dramatic fashion, right? They're only going to do the things that are going to look their best, their newest rookies look well, look good in front of the masses. They're not putting out bad footage of their own team. But I think to your point about, calling your shot with Jaylen Milroe and comparing him to Jaden Daniels, I know he's a military kid. I don't think that hurts, right? Probably going to be prepared. I mean, it does show that he can throw a football, obviously, and he is a supreme athlete. Those guys, I'm going to bet on more times than not. And so if they give him the opportunity to develop for a year or two, kind of like, JJ got to last year and he doesn't even have to be injured, I think he's going to be a weapon to look out for in the NFC. We'll see, what comes when they do put the pads on and when real football is played. But I think he's a prospect that people are sleeping on for sure.
Absolutely. I know I'm not going to be able to judge the guy from one throw. I watched plenty of tape, plenty of film over the offseason. It's not the film that the NFL scouts get. I mean, we can get our own cut-ups from live streams and live games and all that, but and the guy that I use, Caddy Cut-Ups, does a really good job at getting us film. But I think that there's more to this kid than what's being led on. And yeah, whether it's a year or two or maybe he gets a shot this year, I don't know. But I think that Jaylen Milroe is going to be somebody in this league at some point, as long as he can keep his head in the game. To your point, being a military kid, having that structure in place, right? Having, you know how the military is. They're up at the crack of dawn and they're doing everything in order, right? It's almost like OCD, but they do everything for a reason. And I think that Jaylen Milroe has been brought up that way to perform that way each and every day. The way you construct, you go about your business every single day. I think that it means something. A schedule is there for a reason, and I think that he follows a good schedule. I'm excited to see where he goes, just like I'm excited to see where the Lions go. Riley, any thoughts on this before we move on to the real Lions, the real NFL news of the day?
If Seattle strikes gold again with a not first-round quarterback, whatever Russell Wilson, I think, was like a third-round pick, and then where was Milroe? I think maybe also a third-round pick. History could repeat itself in that sense. So we'll find out, though, if that's ends up being the case.
All right. So let's get into some schedule leaks here. Yes, Jaylen
Russell
Milroe.
Wilson. I love Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I loved Russell Wilson. Young Russell Wilson, the athletic one that could get around.
Yeah, he was fun to watch in the very early
watch.
parts of his career. I think the last 4 seasons or so have been a little bit different for him. But yeah, Jaylen at pick 92. You're spot on there, Riley. Okay, schedule leaks. This is the fun part of the year, man. We love it. So Bears. I'm going to start off with the Bears. Part of a doubleheader. December 20th, Saturday hosting Green Bay. So it's a doubleheader that day. I'm not sure who the other part of the part of the doubleheader. I'm not the second game. I didn't see it. Let me open up this article here and see if there's anything added to it.
I think I saw it here. I had it on the 20th. They are followed by
The Commanders and the Eagles.
Yes, Eagles and Commanders.
There we go. So that's the second game. That's week 16. Week 16. So the week before Christmas, man, you're going to have a doubleheader on that Saturday. And then you're going to have all these Christmas games again this year, from what we understand. The Bears are also away at the Eagles on Black Friday. So they're just not going to get a break around any of these holidays. So I love it. I love that the Bears have to go away to the Eagles in December or in late November, simply because it's going to be cold in Philly, right? I mean, it's cold in Soldier Field too, but it's different in Philly. It's a totally different place to play. Packers and Eagles. So Packers host the Eagles. Is it November 10th on Monday Night Football, or are they away at the Eagles?
Let me see. On the 10th?
Yeah, the November 10th.
Ooh, that was November 10th. It is the Eagles versus the Packers. So the Packers are going to the Eagles.
Okay. Packers are going to Eagles. So Packers are away.
Yes. Yep.
And then we have Broncos at Chiefs. Get this. This is going to be one of the best games of the season, in my opinion. Broncos at Chiefs on Christmas. Christmas in Arrowhead, man. That's going to be a special game. Riley, what are your thoughts on that game, especially being on Christmas in Arrowhead?
Yeah. That one, I've got a good friend, Jeff Gaylor, that's a big Broncos fan. And in fact, a lot of people out here in Utah, are Broncos fans. And it seems like they always play the Chiefs pretty close. I mean, I think it was last year where the Chiefs, you're like, what kind of witchcraft are they doing to come away with these wins? Because it was a, barely missed field goal or blocked field goal, something like that. But they always play them tough. And at some point it feels like, the Broncos are going to turn the tide and maybe start, winning that division, unless, I guess Patrick Mahomes is there. So it's going to be tough for anybody besides the Chiefs to win that division. But hopefully the Broncos can start staking their claim.
Corey, thoughts on the Chiefs this year, man? Since we're on this game, I mean, you're out west, right? West north. What do you think about the Chiefs and kind of last year? What he was talking about with the witchcraft thing was, look, it was all the penalties, man. It was the refs, and it was just like it seemed like no matter what happened in a game, they were always in it because of a few calls. And one of the talking football guys, is it Austin, who's the big Chiefs fan?
Yeah.
So we tried to talk to him about it, and we never really got him on. But that's kind of what I was leading with last year was, and a lot of people did, right? They were all pissed off about the refs. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are a perennial power every year, and we love to blame it on the refs, right? We like to talk crap on LeBron because he's the GOAT, right? Like these dudes that are consistently at the top, it's hard to hate on them. So we want to do something. I think they do get a lot of calls, but I think Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, their greatness speaks for itself, right? Like when you can lock and load a bunch of, no-name receivers and make it to the Super Bowl consistently every year, that's not the refs, right? Travis Kelce sustains success, right? Patrick Mahomes sustains success, right? Andy Reid putting multiple running backs, whoever they have. They brought what's the running back? Gosh, he shouldn't
Pacheco?
even be. Pacheco's gone. Who do they bring back?
Edwards-Helaire?
Edwards-Helaire, he's gone.
Right.
Kareem Hunt.
Oh yeah, Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt, right? This dude has been playing football. He's past the age cliff, and they're still getting him, to the Super Bowl. So it's like, man, you got to give credit where credit is due. Now, are they going to be able to sustain that? I think everyone's catching up. I think it's we've seen like the model of how you could beat them. I don't know if the Broncos are going to catch up this year. I know that they are on a trajectory that is putting them in the right direction with their quarterback Bo Nix, and Sean Payton seems to love him. So we'll see what they can do in another, in his year too. But that's going to be a late in the season game. You'll see if they're competing for that, AFC West championship potentially, or if the Chiefs have locked up another, first round like home game, or we'll see. It'll be exciting to see what the Chiefs can do, especially on their revenge tour. They got embarrassed last year.
Broncos top the AFC West this year. That's my early call. Broncos top the AFC West.
Chiefs, you guys heard it.
Chiefs taking a slide. Last year,
Clip
I,
it.
I said that the Chiefs. Yeah, I said the Chiefs weren't even going to make the playoffs last year, and I don't know how they did it other than the refs being in their back pocket, but that's how they did it.
Conspiracies.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a great thing that you just mentioned about how, Andy Reid does this thing and how this team continues to do what it does. Like a lot of what this team does is because of Andy Reid and the way that they bring in football players. They may not all be the picture perfect culture, identity mix, and you'll see that. And I think that's why some Lions fans get a little ticked off at Brad, because he's so honed in on the right guy, the right time, the right culture fit, the right identity, the perfect football player, maybe not, the most or best attributes or the most or the best skills or the most or the best agility, but it fits the team. And all I got to say to that is none of y'all cared a rip about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hardly anybody probably even knew who he was at the time. And look what he's become. So I think that those types of picks is exactly why we are where we are. But that's going to bring us to a really good segment that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, which is Terry and Arnold and DJ Reed and who's going to handle cornerback 1 duties this year. When you look at the gauntlet of the teams that we're playing and the receivers that we're playing, we are legit going up against the best receivers every single week in the NFL. It is going to be a tough sled for these cornerbacks. And I'll talk a little bit more about it when we get there, about why DJ Reed was so important. But continuing on with the schedule leaks here, Brazil. So let's go to some of the international games. Chiefs and Chargers week 1. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. If that is actually confirmed that it is week 1, Chiefs and Chargers in Brazil, that's going to be a fantastic game. Ireland, Vikings and Steelers, week 4. London, you've got week 5, Browns and Vikings. So the Vikings are getting 2. They're getting 2 international games back to back. Am I really reading that?
That's what it says, right? And so that's what makes me question: is this legit? But you said you confirmed it, so they might just stay over there.
Yes. So I confirmed. Hold on here. The international games on NFL.com. Let me go back to it again. Okay, so you have the Chargers in Sao Paulo. Okay, so that's confirmed. You have the Colts in Berlin. Uh-oh, what happened to Corey? He just dropped out.
Did we lost Corey?
Looks like it. You have the Dolphins in Madrid. You have the Steelers in Dublin, the Jags in London, the Browns in London, and the Jets in London. Those are all back-to-back-to-back weeks. London are 3 weeks in a row from what we're hearing. And the teams that they're going up against, at least according to the leaks, there he is. He's back now.
My bad.
No, it's all good. Is the Jets. The Jets would be versus the Broncos, according to Schedule Leak on Twitter. The Browns would be. Where's the Browns at? Where's the Browns? Why don't I see the Browns? Browns in London. Why don't I see that?
I don't see it either. I'm not sure.
Oh, here it is. Browns and Vikings. Browns and Vikings in London. So they had the Jets versus the Broncos in week 6. And then they have the Browns and the Vikings week 5. And then they have the Vikings and the Steelers week 4. I don't know how that's all going to pair up. I don't think that could pair up, but
that doesn't even make sense.
That would be crazy if it did happen. The Commanders and the Dolphins week 11 in Spain. I mean, that makes sense. And then the Falcons and the Colts in Berlin. I mean, it is what it is. I'm surprised the Lions didn't get a Berlin game as much as Amon-Ra St. Brown has been doing so much work over in Germany. I'm glad that they don't have an international game. But here's what I'm going to say about the Rams. If the Rams are legit going to be overseas week 7, then I want to see the Lions away at the Rams either week 6 or week 8, somewhere in that range, either before they go or when they get back. Hopefully when they get back, take advantage of that schedule, right? I hope it lines up that way. We'll find out. Anything you guys want to add to schedule leaks, and then we'll move on to our next topic. Anything else?
Man, I think nothing really stands out to me other than for some of the games that seem to be confirmed. You're seeing a lot of Bears. You're seeing a lot of Vikings. There's going to be eyes on the NFC North. Wouldn't expect anything different. But what's crazy is the team that was 15-2, that's back-to-back winner of that division. I don't know of any Lions game. Have any of them been confirmed yet? I don't think so.
The ones that have been confirmed that we know of for sure: Chargers, Colts, Dolphins, Pittsburgh, Jags, Browns, and Jets. They are all overseas. We know that for sure. And we know where they're playing. The backside of that is who they're playing against. That was the leak over the last day or so, at least according to an X post. So we'll see if it comes true. Next topic of the day is Travis Hunter. A lot of talk about Travis Hunter this offseason and him being able to play both ways. So, Corey, I'm going to shoot this one to you because watching what Travis Hunter has done already this season in practice, I did not expect that he was going to start playing both ways right away. I figured he would start on offense to kind of start his career in the NFL. I think that would be an easier pathway to not only starting, but having an impact on the team. Matter of fact, when I look at Travis Hunter, I see a very similar vessel to Jameson Williams on offense. I think he can be scary good on offense. Yeah, he may be 0.2 of a 40-yard dash, slower than J-Mo, but he's so quick. Like, he is so quick in and out of his breaks. I love him on offense. So Jacksonville's got a good one. You can clearly see why they moved up. But he started out on offense, and now he's sliding over to defense, I guess, in the second portion of their practices. And the quote would be, he'll be able to get integrated next week on the defensive side of the ball. According to Liam Cohen, he'll start to roll on defense. Now, they started him on offense, getting some repetitions, and man, did he take advantage of it. He looked good in practice already. But again, it's just practice. I'll try to roll a video here. But Hunter had this to say. He said, the organization expects a lot out of me. They expect me to come out here and play right away. I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to play right away. I really like this kid's energy. I like where his head's at. But Corey, take it away. I'm going to try to bring in this video.
Yeah, I've gone through a couple different feelings about Travis Hunter. I watched, I'm a Boise State fan, right? So I had Ashton Genty in front of my eyes all season long, and I got to watch his greatness in person. And I also know what type of guy Ashton is. He's a humble dude. I've known him since he was a sophomore. I had a cool relationship with him. So it's like, it's cool to see a guy attain greatness, but then for him to lose. And there was one part of the Heisman ceremony where Travis Hunter talked about liking to watch himself. And it came across really, egotistical. And I was like, man, but since that moment, I've kind of just really got to watch and see what kind of guy Travis Hunter is. And to me, the more and more I'm watching, the more and more I'm kind of understanding. There was even like a recent social media post that went viral because of the way he treated the woman that he was sitting next to in the plane. And then my mom told me that he wore his Jaguar sweats to his commencement ceremony. So it's like, there's these like really quirky characteristics about him. And then I watch a post and he's like tomahawk dunking a basketball at the local 24-hour fitness with a bunch of people. That's my type of dude. And to me, it sounds like he's like a unicorn. Like, he's the dude on the playground that can do whatever he wants. And maybe it's because he's a little ADHD, self-proclaimed a little extra ADHD, and he just does what he does. But, coming from an ADHD background and kind of having that kind of personality myself, like, it's like you want to go play everything, right? Like, that's only going to make you better. And what I would say is somebody who has played DB and receiver, it's just like when I cross-trained Ahmed in high school at offensive tackle and defensive end. If you know how to beat that position or play that position, then vice versa, right? Like, if he's learning NFL receiving, then great, go learn DB too. Maybe we don't have to play you as much at DB, but you're going to know all the tips and tricks that we're teaching the offense, and then you're going to get to use it against them. So the best DBs, Richard Sherman, for example, right? Like, one of the best of all time, was a tall wide receiver in college. And so it's like, if you could translate that, and it seems like Travis Hunter is a savant in this area, right? He is just that dude as an athlete. Then why not throw him into the fire? Why not like give him as much as he can handle? And then if you have to scale back, scale back. But what it looks like from an analyst's point of view is they went up and got their guy because they believe in their guy and they're going to use him like their guy, right? Like they're going to try and get everything out of Travis Hunter. And if he truly is that unicorn, then they struck gold no matter where they picked him and how much they gave away to get him. Because if he can be an elite player, and I never thought he was the best wide receiver in college, right? I think he has extremely explosive like qualities and intangibles. But I didn't, like you said, like Jameson Williams, probably not the number one wide receiver but he can do elite things. I think Travis Hunter can do elite things on the field. And then if you could play him on defense and get a 2-for-1, I mean, that's a pretty good bang for your buck.
I would agree. And Riley, what are you thinking about this opportunity? I know you've got a good buddy that's a Jags fan, right? So has he said anything about Travis Hunter? And if he has, like, what is he thinking about him right away? And I'm going to roll in this video here while you're talking.
Yeah, obviously just extremely elated to come out of the draft with Hunter. I mean, you can see this clip here. Just a polished athlete. I mean, that's the kind of guy that's like, man, anybody who would, a fan of any team would be elated to have got this guy. So with you, Corey, I was curious as you're talking, do you think he's better as a receiver or a defensive back?
I think he's a weapon, right? And so use him as you please. I think I want to say he's a better DB because it's harder to find a lockdown DB. If I can put someone on Hunter Island, great, because he can shut down their number one weapon. He's a part of a weapon tree on most offenses, right? He has like he's one of multiple, and there's only one football, so he might not be getting the ball on every play, but on defense, he is affecting every single play because he's locking down somebody and taking away their best option. So, yeah, I would say defense is more valuable, but what is he best at? They beats me, right?
So number one jersey sale, is it Hunter? You think jersey sale for this year, the number one rookie? Do you think it's going to be Travis Hunter? What are you guys' thoughts?
Genty.
I think it's Genty.
Genty.
I think Genty is going to be electric. I'm super excited to see what he does. I had an opportunity to talk to him at the combine. Or not at the combine, at the draft. And hopefully Eric, I haven't opened up the Dropbox yet, but Eric took video while I was taking video, and some of my video didn't come through, but hopefully he captured some of the questions that I was asking, because the one question that I asked Genty was, when he sits back in that stance, it's exactly like Jahmyr Gibbs' stance. I don't understand the lazy kind of half cocked to the side, stance, but he made a great point. He said, I think you have to be relaxed. And when you're relaxed, you can play better. And that's just how I feel. The most relaxed and ready to go is in that stance. He's not down on his knees, ready to go like you envision Barry Sanders being, right? No, he's just simply relaxed, standing back there, ready to go. I don't know if it has anything to do with their height. I mean, he's 5'8". I don't know if he has to get down into stance on his knees. If he's just ready to rock and roll and that's how he feels the best, he can, get his feet going. It makes sense. But really super cool kid, cool, calm, collected. I mean, you know more than I'll ever know about Ashton Genty. And the vibe that I got from him is just a quiet dude that just wants to go about his business. But you would be able to tell us more. So,
well, I mean, you talk about him being a quiet kid, but on the field, he's got a great person. He's got $1 million smile, and he's really like personable, and he's not bigger than you or anything. So it's going to be a toss-up between Travis Hunter because they both have social media followings too, right? Ashton Genty's big on TikTok, and he became when you become a meme, right? In the Michael Myers stance, that will translate. And I think he's in a bigger market, right? Las Vegas, a little more able to get dispersed. And you have fans all over the place who love themselves some Ashton Genty. Now, I do think Travis Hunter is personable and liked. He's got this brand, but I think now that he's out of the Deion Sanders bubble, I don't think the media is built in as much anymore, right? The propaganda machine. So I think Genty is more of a, and wait till we see. This is, again, talking to the point of what is he more valuable on defense or offense? He could go both ways, but the amount of touches that Genty's going to get, he's still going to be the more prevalent football player in the NFL next year. I think like you could have Travis Hunter doing amazing things, but that loses its luster after a while. Like, okay, yeah, he's still locking people down and he's catching 5 balls, like if he's maybe 8 balls, but like Genty's going to be going for like ridiculous numbers. And so if you could get Genty on your fantasy team, do it now.
Right. Yeah, I haven't done anything with fantasy, but we're going to get started early this year for the Rockdown Leagues. By the way, someone just bought the final ticket. Well, not the final ticket. You can buy more. But the Kirby Joseph signed football. It was up for raffle just before the draft, just hit its reserve. And if you want tickets, now's the time because I'm probably going to roll it tonight. And if I don't do it tonight, maybe I'll do it and wait and do it tomorrow night when we do the schedule release. But by tomorrow night, this raffle is going to be done. So this is your last opportunity to grab your raffle tickets on buymeacoffee.com/rocked on. It should come across the screen, but if you need some help with it, one of the mods would be more than happy to help you out. It looks like it's right down there somewhere.
Riley, you buying any jerseys this year?
Any jerseys? I mean, I got a sweet Barry Sanders jersey for Christmas, like one of the almost like on-field authentic ones. I'm going to have to stock up, though, for sure. I got some more jackets on the way, so I can be recycling my wardrobe here for going on the show. I got to keep up with you guys with all the Lions gear.
My first jersey is going to be, of course, Ahmed. I got to get that jersey, man. The first Egyptian to play in the NFL. I have to have it, so it's going to be one of the first that I buy. Whatever his number is going to be, he wants to be 91, right? And Levi's 91 right now, I believe.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think if he gets a choice, I think he would love to have 99.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that number. That would be. Whew.
What was that? Aaron Donald's number?
That is.
Yes.
That's why he wants 99.
Well, I think it was always like, if I come in and get 99, that'd be amazing. And then I talked him into 91 because that was what was available. I was like, 91's a dope number. You're gonna represent it in college, and he did. He made it his own. But if there's no option to get 91, and I think Tyleek even said he wants 91 specifically, right? So right. He might have to deal with Levi and use some of his signing bonus to get 91 on his chest. So then where does Levi go? There might only be 2 90 numbers, 90 potentially, 99 potentially, depending on what's going around. If you look at the roster and how that mimight shake out after training camp. So yeah, if I just know that if I see my brother in 99, I might actually think he's going to turn into Aaron Donald.
That would be great.
So it's like I might start just believing it, dude.
At that point,
like if that's what we got to do and believe to get him in number 99, I'm just going to start believing it now.
Let's do it, man.
I just can't wait to see him in the Honolulu blue, man. All these rookies, I'm excited to see all of them in the new jerseys. But I'm wondering what we're going to do this year for the variations. I know you can do a little bit more this year. It'll be interesting to see. So you guys tell us in the chat, what is the first jersey you're going to buy for the rookies? Like which one are you looking forward to buying the most? You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings here, but hey, put it in the chat. Which jersey do you want to get first? And maybe we'll do some raffles as soon as the numbers are done and we know who they're going to be. We'll get some raffles going so that everyone can get a shot at getting a cheap option at a jersey, right? But so anyway, we'll move forward here off of. See, we're only 2 topics down, and it's 8:44. It's crazy.
We're killing it.
Riley, give us an NFL news topic.
Yeah, let's go with Pro Football Focus. 5 most improved offensive lines this offseason. So this is from Andrew Eitz from Pro Football Focus. They put out their 5 most improved offensive lines this offseason. Say what you will about the Chicago Bears, but Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles intentionally bolstered their trenches on offense. And that makes perfect sense given that Caleb Williams is their quarterback. Now, Chicago was the number 1 listed offensive line who improved this offseason, followed by the Vikings. So there's another layer of challenge that's added to the Lions' attempt here to three-peat. The New England Patriots, Washington Commanders, and then rounded out by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So again, Bears, Vikings, Patriots, Commanders, and Jacksonville Jaguars, your top 5 most improved offensive lines this offseason. And I'll just ask you guys, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, are those the 5 most improved offensive lines? Hard to argue not. I mean, they both spent, I know Chicago, Minnesota spent a ton of money upgrading that. So you're getting proven players, signing free agents, paying a lot of money to do so. What are your guys' thoughts there on the offensive line improvement?
What was the list? What were the names?
Chicago, Minnesota, the New England Patriots, Washington Commanders, and Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay, so I think I heard you say Detroit Lions, and that's what I'm going with. So even though we have the number one offensive line, it just got better. How do you leave the Lions out of this conversation? Maybe it doesn't fit because we have one of the best offensive lines anyway. But I swear I heard Detroit Lions 5 times in a row. You just added Tate Ratledge to that offensive line. You just added Miles Frazier to that offensive line. You have Giovanni Manu coming into his second season. You have Christian Mahogany, who had to fill in at times last year, that had one of the best grades on the offensive line. Short spurt, but it means something. There's not a better offensive line out there than the Lions. But for most improved, right, your participation trophy, it goes to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I think a metaphor for what Will just described is like when you have a really nice house and you change the windows, it doesn't look like a big upgrade, right? But you still upgraded the house and you still got a really nice house. But when you got like a dumpster fire, right, and they just sweep it down and they might put a mobile home there, but it still looks better than what they had before, right? And so it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a hot take or what, but yeah, we talked about it yesterday. You can't buy a team necessarily. You don't buy chemistry across the offensive line. So if they're bolstering it, you never know how that translates. What I hear in that list is I heard Chicago. That's a young quarterback, Caleb Williams, trying to get him help. I heard the Patriots, young quarterback, trying to get him help. I heard the Commanders, young quarterback, trying to get him help. The Jaguars are they need whatever they can do, right? A new offensive regime, and is Trevor Lawrence the guy? They need to find that out. So if they get him help, they can really judge that and say, do we want to move forward with this guy as our dude, or do we want to go get somebody in this quarterback class of 2026? And then who is the 15?
Minnesota, same thing.
Young quarterback, right? Like want to protect him, want to get him a chance. Do we have our quarterback of the future? Is he able to be that guy, or do we want to get back into because Arch Manning's coming up, and if you don't think teams are already thinking about they could have the next Manning on their team, like any quarterback needy team is thinking about that, like period, point blank, no doubt.
So
absolutely.
yeah, so with that, I think you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, all these teams are looking to upgrade their offensive line because they have a young quarterback either waiting in the wings or currently getting an opportunity. And to your point about Trevor Lawrence, man, did they way overpay for that guy last year. I remember exactly where I was because I just started laughing when I saw it come across, and I think I did a video about it while I was standing there, but I was walking into the U of M Cancer Center and I see this come across my phone. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. How did they just pay all of these ducats for Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't done a darn thing in the league? And I think he has the ability to be good. I mean, I think he has a prototypical size. I think he has a great arm. I think he's mismanaged. I think the team was mismanaged. So now he gets a fresh shot, right, with a new team around him, at least new management around him. So I think this is his last shot. What he proves this year, if he doesn't do it, I think that they're going to try to move off of him by next year. If they're a dumpster fire again this year, you might even see Trevor Lawrence up for trade at the deadline. Speaking of quarterbacks, are we ready to move off of this topic, or do you guys have anything else you want to add? Riley, I'll go to you and then back to you, Corey.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to keep it rolling.
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
So speaking about quarterbacks, Riley, this name keeps popping up. Carr retires, and then Hendon Hooker gets thrown into the ring of fire again as a trade candidate. Why? Why does this keep happening? So we're going to skip right to Detroit Lions news today for just a moment. Why is Hendon a trade target again for the Saints?
Yeah, it's a great question. I guess you're just talking about a guy that's older than, a young quarterback usually would be. And then a guy that I guess for some reason everyone wants to think, well, he's withering away on the Lions bench, so put him somewhere else. But Mike Payton of A to Z Sports is suggesting that the New Orleans Saints could be interested in Hendon Hooker with the recent retirement news of Derek Carr. Like you mentioned, Will, Payton suggested the Saints would give the Lions a 6th round pick. This one to me is simple. The Saints have 3 quarterbacks on their roster, including one that they just drafted. So if they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender, they shouldn't mind a year of losing where they could potentially land a top draft selection, just like Corey was just saying. If you're not going to win it all, be in contention to win it all, why not just stockpile and try to get a higher pick in the draft? But just doesn't make sense to me to give up Hooker for a 6th-round pick. You got to think, if Jared Goff were to go down, I am personally more confident that Hooker has more value on this roster than a 6th-round pick would be. So thank you, but no thank you. I think you got to keep Hendon Hooker for the Lions, and especially what would a 6th-round pick do for the Lions, and why would the Saints why would they not just want to play the guy that they just drafted? So I guess Corey, what is your thoughts on Hendon Hooker as a backup? I think he's a perfect backup.
Yeah, I couldn't ask. And correct me if I'm wrong. How long has he been in the league? What, like
This will be
3
his third.
years, right?
This will be his third, yeah.
We've talked about this now. I've been on the show like 3 times. And we've talked about, experience as a young quarterback, getting to sit back and learn from other people. And he's been in 2 systems now, right? And so I don't know how much playing time he's gotten on the Lions. You guys would know that better than me because you watch all the games. But what I've seen of him is a dude with a ton of potential. And if that has been developed and refined a little bit, then yeah, hopefully something doesn't happen right to the starter. But if you got a guy that is reliable and knows everything, then yeah, he's way more valuable than a 6th-round pick. And I think with the Saints in general, that pick of Tyler Shaw from Louisville by Kellen Moore, the now head coach of the Saints, I think he went and got his guy. And I think if any of those young quarterbacks are going to play, it's going to be that dude, right? And they're going to see what they have in him, and then might dip right back into the pool next year, right? If he's not the guy. He's the oldest quarterback to come out. He's the last quarterback that's going to be born in the 90s to come out of the draft, right? And so I think you have an experienced dude who's played a lot of snaps. It's kind of like a Brock Purdy-esque pick. And Kellen Moore being the offensive mastermind, Super Bowl champion, offensive coordinator, and finally getting to, take the reins of his own franchise. Maybe he's going to put all of his chips on that this year. And then, like I said, go right back to the table next year at quarterback. But we'll see. I don't think it makes any sense for us. And I don't even think it really makes sense for the Saints.
Yeah, I would agree. What do you think, Will?
I really don't have much more to say on the Hendon Hooker topic, tongue twister this morning. I've beat this horse to death. It's not going to happen. Why would you trade around, spend a 3rd-round pick on Hendon Hooker, and then get a 6th-round pick in return after you spent 2.5 seasons grooming the guy? Doesn't make any sense to me. He's not worth anything. And I don't mean that negatively. I mean that from a draft capital asset perspective. He's just not worth anything yet because he doesn't have the time on the football field. Hendon Hooker would be a great quarterback for the Saints. He'd be a great quarterback for any organization. The problem, I think that, and see, I said I wasn't going to say anything. The problem that I'm seeing is a lot of fans think that Hendon Hooker is like ready to go. Brad Holmes has told us numerous times, wherever Hendon has been, it has always taken him a little bit of time to kind of get going. The same thing with the Lions. It's going to take him a little bit of time to get going. This is his year, in my opinion, to kind of, shit or get off the pot. Let's just be honest. He's got to show us in practice this year that he can actually do it. He's got to show us in preseason games. He's just not going to tuck and run it. He's going to throw the football. He's going to make good decisions. However, I don't think he's going anywhere, and he's not going to supplant Jared Goff. Let's just be honest here. Jared Goff's not going anywhere. Now, next year is a big year for Jared, right? In the 2026, his salary is $70 million. It's a huge jump from 32. His salary is going to more than double from this year to next year. Will the Lions have the money? They will. Do I expect the Lions to move off of Jared Goff? I don't. But if we have a disastrous season this year for whatever reason, then I think the questions are going to start coming, and you're going to see all these Soul fans coming after Jared Goff, and you're going to see that the Hendon Hooker to be the starter in 26, clickbait, flying everywhere. So leave him on the team. I'm looking forward to the clickbait, I guess. Big shout out to everybody that just jumped in and bought some tickets, man. I mean, like 4 people just jumped in and bought more tickets to the football, the Kirby Joseph signed football. And then real quick, I just got a quick statement. Man, a lot of you in the show today, over 120 at certain points. We only have 43 likes. There's 100 people in right now. Do us a favor. It's already after 8:45 in the morning. We'd like to get up to 75 likes before 9 a.m. It helps the algorithm recognize us. And then we turn ads off just for you. I've done the math. I've done the calculation. It's over $6,000 a year that we can't put into the Rockhound Cancer Foundation by turning off ads for 1 hour of the 2-hour show. Just do us the favor and get the likes up. We have no problem, putting that money aside because the likes will help us reach more people just like you. If you haven't subscribed, I'm going to ask you why. If you even like the content a little bit, do us the favor, like the stream, subscribe today, and be part of the Rockhound family. We now have a new co-host in Corey Besh. I mean, it doesn't get any closer to your team than him right now. I mean, he's the closest we're going to be. He's got great content, great energy, and this is just the beginning. So hit your wagon, right? Because this content is off and running, and I think we're gonna transform what we're doing here on Rockhound Detroit Lions in a short amount of time. Appreciate you guys being in this morning, and let's keep rolling here. So, Hendon Hooker, I'm done with that. I'm done with that whole conversation. Like it gets old, right? It gets old. Just like Trey Hendrickson yesterday. So this will be the last thing I talk about with NFL news today. Trey Hendrickson, I get it. Actually, Riley, was this one of your topics?
It was, but
go for it.
You're very well spoken on this one. But here, I'll read his comments. So this is, it's been the whole back and forth. This was a statement released by Trey Hendrickson on Monday, so yesterday, to ESPN. He says, quote, "No communication has taken place between my camp and the organization post-draft. The offers prior to the draft did not reflect the vision we shared and were promised last offseason if I continued to play at a high level. Coaches are aware of these past conversations. Rather than using collaboration to get us to a point to bring me home to the team, they are no longer communicating. I've been eagerly awaiting a resolution of this situation, but that's hard to do when there is no discussion and an evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals." So pretty clear language from Trey Hendrickson, which to me seems like he's trying to tell the fan base in Cincinnati, guys, this isn't me. That I can't negotiate with myself, so blame the team. But yeah, I know you've got some good thoughts on this one.
I want to hear Corey's thoughts. You guys have heard enough from me about Trey Hendrickson. Here's what I'm going to say before he jumps in. This is just clickbait city on Trey Hendrickson. The people that continue to pump this stuff like, oh my goodness, Trey said this. Now Brad needs to go sign him. It's just clickbait city around it. I'm sick of seeing it. You know who you are. A lot of us in this space are kind of sick of seeing all of the, Lions need to go out and get an edge and need to get a top tier edge and need to spend $40 million on an edge. We already got one. Hardly any teams have two. But Corey, give us your take on Trey Hendrickson. So you're kind of new to understanding the Lions dynamic as far as salary cap space. You're obviously a very bright guy, so I think you get it really quickly. Why would the Lions not want to bring in a Trey Hendrickson? I guess give us a pro and a con. And would it even make sense now? Let's forget about the guys we drafted this year for a moment and give me a pro and a con as to why Trey makes sense, doesn't make sense, and then give us your final take.
I mean, I just think that you have to look at what is his situation with the Bengals right now, right? He's asking for top tier money. And if you're going to bring in a guy who's already asking for that, then you're going to be paying that. You just talked about Jared Goff being, a decision they have to make in the next coming year or two, right? Because of his contract. When you're juggling superstars, it gets hard and they get heavy and the rest of the team suffers. And so it would be amazing to have every team have 2 elite pass rushers, but there's a reason why most teams are not constructed that way. And it's because it's really difficult to get right. We're going to see the Bengals this year try and do the same thing with 2 superstar wide receivers. They just paid both of their wide receivers to be number 1 wide receivers. And so when you put that much money on one side of the ball, you can't afford to pay Trey Hendrickson. And so they're ghosting him. Literally, like that's what he said. He's like, that my own team ghosted me. And it's like, yeah, you're getting, you want to be treated like the main squeeze. And honestly, we have a main squeeze. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be coming off of his rookie contract, and they're going to have to pay him. And who would you rather have? The next best name that comes up on YouTube or wherever, you get your social media from, or would you rather build in-house with the guys that you've picked, hand chosen, and then pay those dudes when they perform for the Lions, right? Like not paying other dudes for what they've done for other teams. I just don't think it makes sense.
And see, and I agree. Brad is always built from inside. He wants to draft, develop, re-sign. And I think that is the smartest strategy. When you look at what the Eagles have done, the reason why they had a powerhouse front four, they draft, develop, tried to re-sign. They lost some guys this year, but they do it in-house. And the Lions have been doing the same thing. I mentioned this the other day. I don't know how many of everyone out there has noticed this. Go look at all of the drafts that Brad has done. Look at our first-round picks. It's like 7 positions have been taken in the first round. Positions. Not doubling down on any one position. That is the smartest thing you can do as a GM that is trying to build a team for sustained success. Look, you can't put 22 starters on the field all from the first round. Yes, you can grab some in free agency over time. I would say it's probably the third contract that you're going to get more first round potential, but not the second contract on the Lions squad because it's just too rich. It's too expensive. The thing with Trey Hendrickson is it's sad. What the Bengals are doing, it's a loser way to manage, a football team, in my opinion. You promised this guy 2 years ago that if he goes out and plays well, that you're going to reward him. So what does he do? 17 and a half sacks in 23. Doubles down 17 and a half sacks again. Sack king. Played extremely well. Now you come into 25 and you're like, don't know if we want to pay you. I'm sorry. If I'm Trey, that means I'm out. And for whatever reason, the draft asset capital or the draft capital that they were expecting to get prior to the draft and even last year has not been the same as what they're hearing now. So I think the Bengals shot themselves in the foot. Like you can't hem and haw with this. It's either you're in on Trey or you're out on Trey. You're either going to pay him or you're not going to pay him. Right now, you're forcing a guy to play unhappy on like the final year of his deal. So you're pigeonholing him. He's not going to go out and perform for you. Who knows? Mm-hmm. He might even sit. I don't see that from Trey, but he might even sit out. The whole thing with the Bengals blowing this whole thing to pieces, they should have just taken the 2 first-round picks that they were offered last year. But this year, they didn't get offered as much. Why? Very deep edge draft. Very deep D-line draft. You're not going to get the same value. And now you're going into the final year on an aging defensive end that you might have to pay $40 million or you're going to let walk. Now next year, either, I don't even know what his contract looks like if they released him right now, if they would save anything or if they would save something after June 1st. I have no idea. I haven't looked recently. But if they were able to save something and he is released, then you might see a possibility that he could end up, let's just say, in Detroit if it's a cheap deal under probably $15 million, as I'd put the cap on it. $15 million is probably the most you'd see Brad Holmes spend for one season. But I think that's a lot. And I don't know if we have the room. I mean, you can always make the room. I mean, Trey would be an upgrade over just about anybody right now, not named Aiden Hutchinson so far, right? We haven't seen what Ahmed's going to do. We haven't seen what Levi's going to do in his second season. We haven't seen what Josh Pascal's going to do now playing defensive end last year, if he's going to come back and give it a rip. And then Marcus Davenport. You have no idea what he's going to look like this year. So could you always upgrade? You can. It costs a pretty penny. But the reason why Brad Holmes is not doing it, because he's got to pay Aiden. He's got to pay that big contract on Jarrett. He just signed Kirby. You just signed Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Aleem McNeil. So you've sent out all this money already. You've got to save your pennies so that you can have sustained success. You don't want to blow it up in 1 year. And that's what bad teams do. They go all in, they don't win the Super Bowl, and then they lose a bunch of guys. That's not the new Detroit Lions way. It was the old way. We never even sniffed the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so up next here, I want to get into this topic. So I came across this yesterday. I was looking at the schedule, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my goodness, the receivers. Holy cow! It just started to dawn on me. Like, okay, Tarian. We've been talking about him having a second-year jump. There was some articles that came out in the last week or so talking about the same thing, that he's kind of up on this mountaintop of, like top 10 players that should have a very significant jump in his play this year. And I think I asked you the question the other day, Corey, kind of what do you think about the second year for Tarian Arnold? And I don't remember what you said now, but for me, I think that Tarian's going to have a great second year. Watching his trajectory from where he started, he was getting ticky-tacky calls. He did have some handsy play. And then he transitioned to a guy that what I felt was playing with oven mitts on his hands. He was in the right spot. He was in phase, right? He was mirror matching. He was right in the pocket of these receivers. And even if he let up a reception, he was right there to drill him. And that's what I love about his game. There's not a whole lot of yak against this guy. His PFF numbers, even though we give it about a 50% value of the overall, it gives you an idea of how he's playing. That number started to skyrocket the second half of the season. He had a bad game against Washington. Who didn't? That entire team was decimated. Everybody had a bad game. I see Tarian having a big second-year jump, but this is where I pivot, and I want to go with experience over youth. So let me throw some names out to you, and you tell me DJ or Tarian. Bears, Rome Odunze, and DJ Moore. Tarian or DJ? Who gets Rome? Corey will go to you.
Who's the Chicago number one? Are you telling which you tell me?
I don't know.
I don't. Who's our number one? You told me about the second. So I have Tarian, and who's our other corner?
DJ Reed, who was
DJ
a top.
Reed.
He's a top.
You just told me that he's 5'9", right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a man of the short. Like, trust me, I love me a short football player.
Right.
But brother, like, I'm not putting you on the big dude. So whoever's taller, I'm just matching it up straight like that. Like, if Tarian Arnold is our bigger corner, he's on the bigger target. And so that's how I'm gonna probably play it. Not because I've played, some of the best corners I've ever gone against were my size. And I will put my talents against any other big receiver, but there are just some things that are sheer, physics. And when you have a wingspan of Justin Jefferson and can jump out the gym, or you're Travis Hunter and you're getting head topped, or Ted McMillan or something like that. Like, even if you're 5'9" and have a 40-inch vert and can dunk, which at some point I could dunk, I promise. And I'm only 5'7", you're still getting head topped.
You went from 5'9" to 5'7" in a week.
No, 5'9" is DJ Reed, right? I'm 5'7", so unfortunately, yeah, I had to jump a little higher.
So I'm glad you said, about the height difference here, taking the taller wide receiver. And I would have thought the same thing last year until I seen a guy by the name of Amik Robertson play. And Amik is kind of right in that same area. I think he's 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah.
Plays primarily, slot, or down in the nickel. Look, I was all about his gifts on the field, like just an absolute bulldog, not afraid to he doesn't back down. He's not afraid to lower the boom. And then in week 18, when I said, you know what, I'd rather see Amik run with Jefferson and Tarian go with, the second guy, and they shut him down. Now they did switch at some point during the game quite a few times, and Tarian did a great job. It's probably one of the better games that I've seen, out of both of those. So when I'm looking at the smaller guy, I'm thinking the same thing that you're thinking. I would not want to put him on the bigger, lengthier receivers. But what I noticed, Corey, was the aggressive nature of Amik stood out. The way that he was able to get up and jam at the line and not let these receivers bully him around. Yeah, there's going to be a problem downfield when you're going for contested catches, maybe. DJ Reed has a 36.5-inch vertical. So that means at a minimum that dude can jump and probably snag a 12-foot ball, right? 11-foot ball, I would assume, if he's in a full sprint.
Oh, yeah.
right? So I'm not as worried about the height. I want DJ Reed's experience. So let me keep running through these names, right? And again, it's your prerogative. It's what you feel. But this is the gauntlet that we're running with at the away teams. Christian Watson, Matthew Golden now. Now, Matthew Golden's like 5'9", 5'10". Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson for the Vikings. Commanders, now Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown for the Eagles. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase for the Bengals. I don't know who's the number 1 and 2 in the Ravens. You got Hopkins, Flowers, Bateman, and Walker. I really like Devontae Walker out of North Carolina last year. The Chiefs. Come on, Worthy. Now they added Jalen Royals to the mix. Rashee Rice and Sky Moore. I mean, it's like, take your pick. Well, who are you going to cover, right? How about the Rams? Devonta Adams and Puka Nacua. All right, let's go to the home games. CeeDee Lamb and now George Pickens. Excuse me. The Giants, Malik Neighbors. I don't know. Is it Slayton or Wheaton? I really liked Wheaton, even though he was a late round pick. He's like 6'4". I think he's a good football player. The Giants maybe have the less of the scary wide receivers that we go against. Browns, Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, Cedric Tillman. I'm not sure where he fits in the fold. Steelers, they got DK Metcalf, and Roman Wilson is about the closest number 2 I could find on the team right now. Forgive me if I don't know a few of the other players on the team or on the roster for the Steelers, but that's what I picked out of it, at least right now. Buccaneers, you got Evans, Godwin, and Ibuka. I mean, come on. This is like a crazy, just a crazy mix of wide receivers from week to week. But we are going up against the best of the best this year. And this is exactly why Brad did what he did. The reason why now I'm kicking this back to Trey Hendrickson a little bit. Why didn't he go after Brad Holmes, an edge rusher? There's your answer. That's why he just spent $45 million on DJ Reed and not an edge rusher. So if you haven't figured it out by now, Brad is looking to the future, right? He's looking to what's coming down the pike. And he's seen, wow, this is our schedule. I got to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And based on us playing probably in the top tier schedules over the next few seasons, he needed to be prepared. Not just to have, a top tier athlete next to Tyrion, but someone that can help Tyrion grow. So we're up against it. Riley, let me kick it to you for just a moment. When you hear all those names, what are you thinking?
Yeah, there's no weeks off. There's
None.
no weeks off. And I think the point that you just made is one of the best I've heard you make, because again, you got to look at this season, and that's the job of a GM. You got to look at the immediate, you got to look at the future. But just imagine they invest all these resources into the D line, and we show up for week 1. All right, man, we're locked and loaded. We're go. Oh, who do we have playing corner? A 6th-round guy. You know how it used to be where the Lions would draft guys in the 6th round. Bill Bentley, these guys that would, and then they would start because they had to, right? Now you've got, not only you have proven starters, but if you have a guy like a Rakestraw who's coming off the bench, and you're cycling in all these guys, Amik Robertson, Brian Branch, Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, Kirby Joseph. I mean, that's the secondary to go up against this gauntlet. So you see this list of, man, that's who we play. Thank God we've got all 5, 6, 7 of those guys that we just mentioned. But yeah, there is no weeks off. That is a brutal schedule. Corners got to be ready to go. So do the safeties.
So Corey, let's kind of dig through this a little bit. Based on what you've learned about the Lions so far, and based on what you know about football in general, is it safe to say that Brad took a look at the schedule and said that corner is more important than edge?
I think that's not, I don't think that's wrong, right? Like, I think you always have to be preparing, and if you know football, your game planning from a week to week basis for your opponent. This is the only sport where you get film from your opponent to watch, right? And to strategize against. And so knowing you're always looking forward to the next guy, I think that's a pretty fair assumption to make from the decisions that we're seeing and the evidence that's being put out there. One thing that I think, to your first point and connecting the point that Riley's talking about, you have such a deep room that includes a bunch of different skill sets. So if you have the luxury of, having Amik, who's a pit bull, but a little bit undersized, and he's predominantly the slot guy. So when Justin Jefferson steps down and they try and line him up wherever, he can just switch off. And now he's playing man on Justin Jefferson instead of having to stay outside, right, and chase him around the field. That is a great thing to be able to do as a defensive coordinator, right? Having guys with interchangeable skill sets and roles and responsibilities, and God forbid something happens to somebody. If you have a proven, guy that's getting a ton of reps that can now step in and has played multiple positions potentially and multiple roles, that's what you need to win a Super Bowl, right? Because you can't expect things to go great. You can't expect everything to be exactly as planned, but you will expect to see those receivers in the future because that's your schedule, right? That's the one thing you can guarantee is what you're about to come up against. And so, preparing for what is coming and not what has already happened or what somebody might say you should do is definitely the job description for the GM. And it looks like that's what leadership's doing with their decision making.
Yeah, I would wholeheartily say the same thing. I mean, they're looking for the future, right? They're trying to make the best decision they can and making sure that they've got deep rooms. And like I said in the while ago about Brad taking, multiple positions, he's not doubling back on positions in the first round. He's making sure that he is filtering a top athlete throughout the team on both offense and defensive side of the football. I don't have the list in front of me right now, but if you go and look at it, it's exactly why we haven't taken or doubled down on edge yet. Now, next year, different story. Depending on what happens this season, you're going to see where Brad is going to have to backfill Aiden and to your, brother's opportunity. Man, if he pops off this year, well, then we won't have to. But if that area of the field, Davenport probably won't be back, but if that area of the field does their job this year, that's just going to prove Brad Holmes right once again. I mentioned the last game of the week or the last game of the regular season for Terry and Arnold when I said that when I watched that game, I felt like it was his best game, and it was. That was his best PFF grade of the year. It was probably had 3 or 4 really good games last year, both of his best games against the Vikings, second best game against the Packers, really good game against the Jags, but his best overall PFF was against the Vikings. Amik Robertson. So this is a guy that, lives, eats, and breathes contact. And he really woke up. I would say at the Green Bay game, the second Green Bay game last year, it was a 65.6, 77 or 76.6 against the Bills, 71.6 against Chicago, 82.1 against San Fran, 61.4 against the Vikings. Everyone kind of crapped the bed against the Commanders, and I don't think that was independently their problem. But look at our room. Terry and Arnold, Amik Robertson, DJ Reed, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. Who has a better DB room in the NFL right now? Can you think of one, Corey? If you were to give me the best DB room right off the top of your head?
If I knew DBs like that, then I really should have been on a sports desk. So your guess is as good as mine. I honestly, I think that sounds as good as anybody's, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know of another one that's really better right now. And of course, we don't know what Travis Hunter's going to be, but I don't think the Jags are even sniffing it right now. But okay, so moving on to a little bit more of Lions news. Riley, what did you have on Lions news? I want to try to pull in a video real quick.
Yeah, I think this kind of ties into the scheduling a little bit, but let me get this pulled up here. Just kind of had made a note on the importance of the Lions defending home field this upcoming year. So looking over their opponents, and this kind of goes right into this, we know it's going to be a difficult schedule. While it can be looked at as a good thing that some of the Lions' easier opponents are games that are scheduled to be played at Ford Field, that can also in its own way add pressure as the Lions need to protect home field in 2025. So you look at all these difficult road opponents, you got to take advantage and win the games at home. So with the Lions' most difficult games on the road, winning games at home becomes even more imperative. It's unlikely the Lions go undefeated away from home again this year as they did last year. They were undefeated on the road. So assuming that doesn't hold true, I guess kind of what is the threshold in your mind of how many games the Lions need to win at Ford Field in 2025 if they are going to repeat as NFC North champs? You got to go, what would you say, at least 6-2, 7-1 maybe?
Corey,
There's a little room for error, but what?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough go, no doubt, right? Like our away schedule, our home schedule, getting into the playoffs is going to be a challenge. It just whether you're going to win the division or this is I think everyone's pick of the division that's going to have two entrants, right? So winning and staying competitive and at least right staying 6-2 sounds like a great thing for us, because you have to understand that like things are going to happen, right? And there are going to be those moments where the house is on fire and you have to steady the ship. That's one thing you do know about a football season. It's a long season, and there are going to be games that might not go our way, whether that's a call or something, right? A home game that we should have won that doesn't happen, and then we come back. Any good championship level team, that's what we think we have, right, has that resolve and the resiliency to handle business when they need to, and to do it like professionals. So I think it is important. I don't think it's if we lose 2 games and all of a sudden, we just should sell the house and trade everybody and, like start playing our backup. Like, what's going on, right? Like, let's just take a deep breath. And we understand, like, when you're one of the best, you got to beat the best. And we're going to be playing the best this year, whether that's home or away. And we got to do what we expect to do. Will?
Yeah. So at a minimum, the Lions can drop 1 game at home. I think at a maximum, they can drop 1 game at home. I don't want to lose any. Now, last year, I would have thought that we would have won every game at home and maybe lost 1 away. We swept the road. That's not going to happen this year. And if it does happen, great. And I'm not trying to poo-poo my own team. I'm not trying to put any bad, juju out there or whatever. We have the toughest road schedule that I've seen in a long time. It doesn't mean that every single one of those teams is going to show up this year and play. It doesn't mean that the Lions can't go do some damage on the road, because they absolutely can. The schedule is going to, I think, dictate what the Lions are going to be able to do away, because we have potential to be playing in some pretty cold neighborhoods late in the season, which may or may not bode well. We'll see. I believe in Jared Goff, but cold games are not easy for any team. But we do have a running back duo that we can lean on. And so I love that ability. As long as their defenses can't slow us down in the run game, we are always in a game then. Looking at the home schedule, I think I said it the other day, the only team that I thought I seen us losing against was the Steelers, possibly the Bucs. But other than that, we should beat every team at home.
Yeah.
You got Bears, Packers,
I'm looking
Vikings.
at the schedule right now, and if I'm betting it, never mind. I'm retracting I think we go at least 7-1. The Cowboys with their new addition, that I just think they're the same old Cowboys, right? The New York Giants, no thank you. The Steelers, I don't think they're going to be the team. Maybe it's the Bucs. Maybe that's the toughest game this year.
That was our toughest game last year.
Yeah, it was.
That was our toughest game last year. The Bucs always come to play. And now that they've added another, receiving threat, this Mike Evans has been doing this a long time. I mean, he could age really fast over the last year, and he may not have a great year, but this is also Mike Evans we're talking about. He's been one of the best receivers to do it. What's he got, 10 years of 1,000 yards or more, something like that? The guy's incredible. I would say when I look at the away, man, if we can split, on the away and go 5-4 or 6-3, I think that's a win. I'll take it. But we have to beat the division games.
Yep. If you win, so if you go 7-1 at home, like you're saying, Will, and then 4-4 on the road, so you're what, 11-6?
Say that again.
So if you go 7-1 at home, like you were kind of saying, maybe you've got room to drop 1, but then you go 500 on the road. So 7 wins at home, 4 on the road. You're 11-win team.
Well, we have 9. We have 9 away games, so we can't go 500.
Yeah. Yep. So
if you go 5-4 on the road and 7-1 at home, you're looking at 12-5.
That might be able to win the North, maybe.
I think to win the North, it's as simple as at least winning your division and then making sure you wrap up the other NFC teams. I think that that's the most important thing. So I'm looking at, the Eagles like that. That's a big game I want to win this year. It's a huge game I want to win this year. The Commanders, like we can't lose to the Commanders. We have to beat them. Those are two games that are the must-win games for me. The Rams, it's a must-win game for me.
I get it. Yep.
Outside of that, I mean, some of these other games, yeah, they're going to be tough. But the more I keep looking at this schedule, like, am I really worried about the Chiefs? Not really. I think that the Chiefs get away with a lot of crap, and I don't think that the Lions are going to put up with it. But at the same time, I look at their wide receiver room: Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, Jalen Royals, Worthy. I mean, speed.
Royals is the real deal too.
Yes, he is. We just have to match speed with intelligence, right? You have to be in the right spot at the right time. So it's an interesting topic, and now I want to move to Brad Holmes. So I didn't catch this last night. You guys brought it to my attention this morning. I missed this whole thing with Brad Holmes here, and I want to play it. And then once I listen to it and play it, we'll comment on it. Let me get it open here. What time is it? Almost 9:30. All right, Brad Holmes kind of mocking us a little bit. We'll see what he says.
Oh, there's no audio on the video.
Uh-oh. I'm an idiot. Hold on.
I'll get it. I was scrambling through my devices trying to find a way to get sound, thinking it was.
You won't hear it. So I forgot to tell you that.
They're not hearing it either.
They're not hearing it either?
No.
Yeah.
Right, hold on. They should be. Oh, I didn't check a box. Go figure. All right, there we go. Now it's probably going to be so loud you're going to be mad. All right, here we go. Start over. Now it's not even showing up. That's interesting. Where did it go?
And people in the chat may have seen this, but this was Brad Holmes. It's kind of like one of the reading the mean tweets that you see sometimes on I don't know, whatever it is, like Saturday Night Live, people reading tweets, taking the piss out of themselves. So this is evidently something regarding Inside the Den.
Yeah. Riley, can you bring us into something real quick? I got to fix it. I don't know what just happened, but I got to fix it real quick. Any topic you want. I don't care.
Yeah, let me see. Let me pull one up here. But Corey, you saw this here that he's pulling up, right?
Yeah, and we'll get back to that. So I want to touch back on what you guys were talking about right before. And when I'm looking at this home lineup, I just feel like we're gonna have a ton of sacks at home this season. Like the den is gonna be jumping because you got the Bears, the Packers, the Vikings, young quarterbacks, right? The new offensive lines. We'll see if those offensive lines will stick. The Cowboys, the Giants, the Browns, the Steelers. Man, I'm just thinking we are going to get after the quarterback at home this year. We play fast on the turf. So, and then when you were talking about the away games and going 500 or trying to go a little bit above 500 and at least beating the NFC teams, it's a measuring stick to me. Like this season is truly like, are you the real deal, Lions? And can you take can we take away your coordinators and do you still have the same identity, right? Like, are you still gonna roar like you did last year, or was that just a fluke? And that's why they're not giving us the opening game of the season, right? That's why they're not giving us the reigning Super Bowl champ or whatever that people were saying. It's like, are you that guy? Like, let's see this year. And what I do know in my short amount of time being a Lions fan is we do believe that like we are an elite team. And so we got to go out there and prove it. And I'm excited to like see what that looks like this season, because it is a tough gauntlet of games, and it goes to what we were talking about earlier in the receivers that we're going to face this year. It's like, man, up and down, whether it's home or away, like these are going to be tough games, and we're going to have to bring our A game.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want. You want the competition. Like, bring it on. As hard as it can possibly be, bring it on. And you're exactly right. That is the storyline of this season. Can they prove it again without the coordinators?
Yep.
I guess to touch on that real quick, I am less concerned about the coordinators. And I know I've said this quite a bit, but, when this offense first started, it was Anthony Lynn. And Anthony Lynn was let go, I don't even think he lasted a year. And then Dan Campbell takes over the play calling, and then Dan Campbell starts with the play calling the next year. And then Ben Johnson finally gets the reins about halfway through, I believe, 22. I think it was halfway through 22, if my memory serves me right. And so Dan led this offense. Dan was the one that helped build this offense, right? Morton was involved in the very beginning to help create this offense. Jared Goff's input just added more fuel. So the offense is built around Jared. It's built around the O-line. It's built around, the weapons that we have. I am less concerned about the offense. Defense, man, I think the only place to go is up with the defense. Aaron Glenn did a good job at setting the foundation. Aaron Glenn did a really great job at getting these guys in line to follow and believe and buy in to what these coaches were asking them to do. They may not have believed it from the beginning. You've heard many of them say that. But they finally figured it out that if they just listened and did what the coaches asked, they were going to have success. And so that's not going to leave this team, right? That same energy is there. Now Calvin just has to take what the Lions did bad and improve upon it. Everything else is there. The foundation is set. And that's exactly why, again, Brad Holmes doesn't go out and bring in these unknown faces to the team. Known faces in the NFL, but these are, new guys. You don't know if they're going to be a virus. I mean, I don't think Brad would ever try to take a guy that's going to be a virus in the locker room. But for me, it's the foundation is there. I don't care who our coordinators are. I think that we have enough residual effect. It's going to carry over, and the team, like Dan said this year, is going to start leading itself. He gets it started in the beginning of the year, and the team just kind of takes over. And those are, like, in my opinion, those are all of the, the nuts and the bolts of the things that you really want to see starting to come together, right? When it starts to screw a little bit tighter, it's because the team is taking it over and they're responsible for what they're doing. They don't need the coaches so much. They need to self-govern. And and I love it, man. So I think that's where we are now in year 5. All right, we should have audio here. Let's listen to Brad Holmes.
This is every other team has footage from their draft room except us, and the draft was in Detroit. How dare you guys? Look, I'm not making all the decisions around here, but I can kind of see that, draft's in Detroit and there's no one inside the den, I know they don't owe us anything, but this is fumbling the ball on your own 15. Who is responsible for up such a good thing? Did they hire someone new in management recently who is out of touch? Man, it's getting worse and worse, man. Detroit Lions media should be ashamed and somebody should be fired. Wow, that's harsh. No reporters with microphones and no draft episode with 1,000 cameras.
Make sure you guys are muted if you're listening to your phone.
Only part of an organization failing. I think Derek and the crew, man, just take accountability of what you haven't done. Let's put your foot back on the gas, get back to work, and let's drop an inside the den video. This is
one more time.
The team has footage from their draft room except us, and the draft was in Detroit. How dare you guys? Look, I'm not making all the decisions around here, but I can kind of see that, draft's in Detroit and there's no inside the den, I know they don't owe us anything, but this is fumbling the ball on your own 15. Who is responsible for up such a good thing? Did they hire someone new in management recently who is out of touch? Man, it's getting worse and worse, man. Detroit Lions media should be ashamed and somebody should be fired. Wow, that's harsh. No reporters with microphones and no draft episode with 1,000 cameras in the city. Only part of an organization failing. I think Derek and the crew, man, just take accountability of what you haven't done. Let's put your foot back on the gas, get back to work, and let's drop an Inside the Den video.
All right, love it. I love
is
it. I love Brad Holmes, and I can already see. Let me get out of the scene. I can already see what other GMs are saying. I can already see what other fan bases are saying, and that's that Brad Holmes is conceited. Brad Holmes is stuck up. Brad Holmes is self-absorbed. You've been hearing those droplets over the past season and a half. Brad Holmes may not be all those things. I don't believe he's one of those things. I think that he just knows what he wants, knows what this team needs. And in things like this, these are done out of fun, and he's having fun with it. So for any of the mean media out there that is trying to turn this into something that it's not what you think it is. It's just Brad Holmes having fun and doing a little bit of an intro to a new Inside the Den, which I'm excited to see. Maybe, just maybe, they're going to wind it back to last year and put in some of the draft stuff. I'm sure they have the footage, right? So maybe they'll put some of last year's draft stuff in it. I hope that they do, because a lot of us were disappointed that we didn't get an Inside the Den that was all about the draft. So interesting to see what happens. Thoughts, Riley?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I remember the Inside the Den after the Gibbs draft and Laporta draft and all that, and it's like, man, this is just amazing content, and you feel like there's so much money in this organization and operation, you would expect to see this incredible content. But yeah, maybe they sat on some for a year and they're going to release it. But it is cool to see Brad Holmes be able to. You got to take. You don't take yourself so seriously. You take what you do serious in life, but it is nice to see, the kind of the sense of humor. And I laughed, got a few good laughs out of that while he was speaking. So it was interesting to see.
Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think Brad likes to interact with the media a little bit. I think it's a fun way. It's what's really funny is it's really the media team and some self-deprecating humor, right? Because they're the ones who set him up to do that, to talk crap on himself, right? And then he's just putting the blame back on them, saying like, you got to take accountability for your stuff, right? But it's like, it's like Inception, right? They're like, how do we introduce the fact that we didn't do anything last year? Like, let's put the blame on us and say like, hey, we got some new stuff coming. I think it'll probably be the Inside the Den for this year. We're gonna do. I think there's a lot of personalities, and I heard somebody say like, I wish they did Hard Knocks this year. Right?
Yeah, I
like,
said that.
I think that's what this is, their introduction to, right? Like, hey, we heard you, and what I think we don't realize is in this day and age, they hear us, right? That everyone has a voice, and they see, like Brad is saying, like there are tweets that get seen by, maybe not by Brad personally, but by the media team, by people who it's their job to see what's out there and being said about the Detroit Lions. And so, they want to provide a product on the field and off the field that is desirable. And I think that's what they're introducing in a funny way, which I think is cool, right? It's modern, it's new, and it gives you a taste of his character, just like we see Brad Holmes giving a commencement speech at A&T, right? And very, very powerful, and a testament to who he is as a man and a type of leader. Then we hear all the rumors that we hear on social media about him, and I'm just getting to learn about him through my brother's process. But it's like, those are the types of people. Like I want a GM who can make a joke and laugh a little bit about the team, and whether that's the media, the team on the field, us as the fans. I want to be able to go back and forth. It's not I want the trolls in chat, right? So that we can engage and have fun. And I'm looking forward to playing like any Bears fans that are watching, because man, it's going to be fun. That's the games we want, right? Like we want to play those games, and you bring your best and we'll bring our best, and we'll see who wins at the end. But it's all great. And like, let's see the personality of the guys leading the team. And then you might get an understanding of who the character is of the team. And like you said, that residual value that matters, that when the team starts policing itself, then the Brad Holmes and all this other stuff that we like to say matters so much isn't really applicable. It's just the culture.
All right, so Riley, I'm going to skip you for just a second, because I do see that we have I guess a troll in the chat here.
No, I love it.
Mike Ditka's Fury says Ben Johnson knows everything about the Lions player weaknesses, strengths, and what they like to run. And then says that that's why Ben Johnson had no fear signing with the Bears, having to go against Dan Campbell. And also says that Ben Johnson era begins with the Bears' improved O-line, Caleb, DJ, Odunze, Burden, Kmet, Swift, and Loveland. Look, buddy, here's what I'm going to tell you, man. One, welcome into Rockdown Detroit Lions, okay?
Yeah.
Two, you still got to beat us, right? So you may know everything about us. The guys still have to show up on the field to do it. The difference is Dan built Ben, right? Ben didn't build Dan. So I'm not worried about that. This is the ultimate David and Goliath here. But I don't think you're going to have success in year one. I really don't. Your guys have to mesh. They have to play well together. And then when you see a guy like this enter the field, anybody should be scared. But let's just roll some highlights here. Man, it does not get old. 19's footwork. I swear to goodness, it is so clean. Rook's putting in the work, and into Mr. Mike Ditka's Fury. Look, man, we'll see you on the field. Hopefully we'll see you at Ford Field. But you've got a lot of work in front of you. I'm not going to try to trash you or anything. That's not what we do here. But
heck no.
We'll have you.
I do have some
anytime
data.
you want to come in and join and be part of a conversation, you just hit me up at mailbag@rockdown.com. We'll get you in. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, one of the cool pieces of information, I heard it on a podcast I was listening to about fantasy football, of course, was that, new head coaches have a winning percentage of just under 500 as rookie head coaches. And they add approximately 2 total wins to their previous year's win total. And so just because you have a new head coach who might know that he doesn't necessarily guarantee success, and that translates to a 7-win season approximately on average for a rookie NFL head coach stepping into a new role and a new title and new responsibilities and building a culture. This is something, like you said, they got to gel, and you can buy an offensive line, and you can get all these different pieces, and you can have 5 different weapons for Caleb to throw to. But man, like, it takes a lot to make a team, and it doesn't happen in the blink of an eye unless you're a savant, right? Or unless you're the next best thing. But the data shows that's not, what's likely to happen. So wish you the best of luck. Hope to see you back, but we'll see you on the field for sure.
Riley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's exactly right. That's why, as a coach, what did Chicago give Ben? 4 years, 5 years? There's a reason why when you're a new coach, you sign something like, hey, you got to guarantee me at least 5 years worth of money, right? It's not going to happen in a year. Now, I thought last year the Bears would be better than they were. I personally don't fault Ben Johnson for going to Chicago. I think you look at the landscape. I think he looks like that's my best shot at success. Okay, fine. But I do think it's going to take a year. I think the Bears have a lot of talent, but they might be 7-9 this year. They might be 8-8, but I don't think that they are going for the Lions just yet.
There's 17 games in the season, buddy.
One of these days, I'm going to learn math. I'm going to remember that there is an extra game now. So, yeah, you're going to go
18 weeks and 17 games. Yeah.
What year is it?
Exactly. So, I had an epic fumble of my own today because I wanted to bring in that Bears fan that was calling the Lions a 5-win football team in 2025. I mean, is that really the confidence that you guys have after the Lions go 15-2 with a third of their football team? Are we serious right now? And I don't have it, so I'm not going to be able to play it, but I'll bring it in for tomorrow. I just can't believe that a Bears fan thinks that this Detroit team is a 5-win football team this year. Doesn't make a bit of sense. That tells you there's something in the Chicago River that they're drinking, and it's not Kool-Aid. It's something else. Maybe it's piss. I don't know, but it's something that's affecting their brain, because you don't go from a 15-win football team to a 5-win football team, and you're bringing back the exact same football team, and then you added to it. By the way, we added this guy to the football team. Let's hear what he had to say.
What's up, everybody? This is Ahmed Hassan with the Detroit Lions. I'm so excited and so grateful to be here. حبايبي المصريين أنا عايز أشكركم كلكم واقفين ورا ظهري. I just want to say thank you and go Must. What's up, everybody? This is Ahmed Hassan with the Detroit Lions. I'm so excited and so grateful to be here.
I love it, man. It's the Arabic language is so intriguing. Like the way that it sounds, I could never do it. I could never speak it. But glad to see how excited he is and just how excited these Lions are to get rolling. But you're going to have to deal with that, Mike Ditka's Fury. You're going to have to deal with, well, currently number 61, the first Egyptian to play NFL football, which, by the way, brings me to another point. Right now, he is an exempt football player from the roster. So the Lions actually can have 91 on the roster right now. I don't know how long it lasts. It might be, well, obviously post 53, and that may be the end of it. But that's kind of cool that even though he was drafted, he is still an International Pathways Program exempt football player, which gives the Lions a little bit extra room, right? So, Corey, do you know anything about that at all, how that's working?
I know that he came up on the list from the NFL, and it was kind of news to me as well. So I did a little background research, and he's got a really unique situation because although he was born in the United States, he has dual citizenship and then spent the majority of his life. So there are certain things, and I don't know the exact specifics in how he earned it and in the completed years, because he went through COVID and in high school and stuff as well. And so that like messed with football season. So I don't know exactly all the details of the letter of the law, but it went through the NFL's office. He showed up on the list and yeah, helping the team already, add an extra guy in training camp. But once he gets down to the 53, he will count just like any other football player, that's on the roster. So it's going to be great to get another guy in there and for the staff to see during training camp and keep that competition up. But that exempt was actually kind of a surprise to us, and yeah, cool to see for Lions fans for sure.
Well, yeah, it helps out the roster. It gives us an extra guy that we can bring into camp right now, and the Lions have been utilizing that program over the last many seasons. I think for that exact reason. But there's also some really good football players that live abroad that are starting to get some light, shined on them, and just so happened that he was here. He was in the States for the last 5 years, and he's still somehow part of that program. I don't fully understand it, but it's great. Riley, anything to add to that before we get into the next bit of news?
No, I think so. I think it's I was just excited. Everything I've seen from him at a camp too, it's just you can't help but smile. I think obviously getting to know Corey and having him join the Rocked On is a big part of that, but it's also just a very good football player, very good human being joining the team that I'm a huge fan of, right? The team that we love. And I think it's great. I saw his excitement for the food in the, what was it? I think he's like, man, you can just go get macaroni. You can get whatever you want.
Yeah, the lobster mac.
Lobster mac. And yeah, no, it's cool. So really excited and interested to see how it all plays out in the end, but I'm not too worried about Chicago.
Man, yeah, I'm excited. Oh, the Chicago. Yeah. Chicago said, who is that Aaron Donald? You better hope that's not Aaron Donald or you guys are in some serious trouble. And I'm still getting used to his mustache. He usually has a nice beard like mine, and he shaved it like before camp. And so he's got the fresh lineup of the mustache, but every time I see him, I giggle a little bit. It's funny. Yeah.
Why do you shave the beard? Does it get too itchy with all the sweat and everything?
I don't know. Probably to get fitted. I think he was going to go with a goatee, and then he decided to change it last minute. I don't know, but it grows back fast, so I'm sure we'll see him with one before you know it. And it's cool to see him, getting to use his Arabic and embrace the cultural side of things, because the community in Detroit I know is very diverse, and so it's cool to see him getting ingratiated in that part of things as well. And the media knows what they're doing, I think.
Yeah, they do. So I wanted to get into the unfiltered executive portion of the show today. So there was a topic or an article that came out by The Athletic that's talking about the executives around the league going unfiltered on their thoughts of every NFL team post the draft. And the NFC team, Giants and the Bears, got really high marks. And that's about all you're going to get Mike Ditka Fury, that you're going to get a high mark. You still got to go win football games, right? You still got to win football games. Do they even have a quarterback that's hit 4,000 yards yet? Do you remember, Corey?
I don't think so.
I don't think they have.
Not off the Caleb. Yeah, you have Caleb Williams is what they need to be deciding about, because I don't know if he's the guy. You know, you see these quarterbacks come in all the time, Johnny Manziel and some of these dudes that are like superstars. They're supposed to be the next best guy, and then they get to the league and something doesn't translate. And I'm scared that's the Trevor Lawrence, right? That's the Caleb Williams. That's these no doubt surefire number 1 overalls, and then all of a sudden you just have number 1 overalls. That's basically their value, is just as overalls, not as quarterbacks. So it's just interesting to see. We will see about that quarterback situation.
I'm glad to get your thoughts on that, because I guess I'm the lone guy here on the network. I believe in his talent, and I think Ben Johnson will be able to coach some good things out of him. But I was curious to see what you thought.
I don't think it's his talent, right? I think quarterback is the position on the field that takes so much more, right? It's not even just about what you could do on the field. It's about how you lead men, right? And rally people around you. And I just don't, from what I've seen, it was like the being close to USC and seeing some of the antics and the way that they did not capitalize on some of his like final seasons. Like, you could have all the talent in the world, and for some reason the product on the field is not a winning team. That doesn't work in the NFL either. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen some of the best, most athletic quarterbacks not make it because they just didn't have that X factor. And I'm not saying he does or doesn't, because I don't know him personally, but what I've seen is that it looks more often than not, it's not happening, right? When Jaden Daniels goes out as a rookie and does something different, it looks like he's doing things different. It's in a good way, not in a bad way. And what I've seen from Caleb Williams and just being around, kind of the intangibles are he can make amazing throws, and he's super athletic and can make things happen. But the fundamental side of things have yet to impress me, and then the intangibles on the personality side, I don't think are there.
Yeah, but if he gets that part down, if he does,
I think he can. Yeah, and that's something a coach can do, right? They have had poor leadership in Chicago. Now, I don't know if he's had poor leadership his entire career, right? Was in USC, was he poor leadership? But I think that'll be a challenge and something that Ben Johnson will get to see.
Yeah, it is interesting because at USC, his coach brought him with him from Oklahoma.
Exactly.
And, but yeah, you're right. He's got to have the talent's not in question, but it's got to be, does he register with his teammates? Does he get them really being like, this is our guy, this is our leader? If he does, then I think we'll see. But no doubt,
it's interesting because they had Hard Knocks, right? And you saw him going in on Hard Knocks, and this is nothing. I don't rock a Louis Vuitton like really big duffel bag everywhere I go, right? But I'm not an NFL football player. And I think there's many different ways we've seen NFL football players come to work, right? Some come in really fancy cars, some come in street clothes, right? Some come dressed up, some are really worried about the image and everything like that. And some just are grinders. And like, now that I've seen my brother make it to the NFL, like, it doesn't matter what position you play. Some guys are just different, right? They just have a different personality. And I don't know whether that always translates, right? Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of our best players, has a different personality. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He has a podcast. So like, you get to see other aspects of him, but like, there was a part of him that's a dog, right? Like, and you knew that right away. Yeah. And so, I just don't see that part of Caleb Williams. I've never seen the dog grinder, like, I want to get it out the dirt part. I've seen the other side. I've seen the Louis Vuitton bag. And those are things he's chosen to put on tape, right? He's chosen to put on social media. He's chosen to paint his fingernails. I have no judgment about those actions. Yeah. I'm just saying, could those be a distraction from the real job at hand? I don't see how they couldn't be in this day and age, right? When it takes so much to be successful at the top.
Yeah, all very well said.
It absolutely does take a lot. Look, I said it from day one. I was never invested into Caleb Williams being the next, best quarterback to bless the Chicago Bears for a decade. And it's not because I'm a Lions fan. It's not because I support my team. That was the analytical side of me just saying, I don't see it. To your few points there about distractions, I think that he has too many distractions. And I think that he maybe intentionally, unintentionally, if that's a thing, causes them himself. And I think that would be the biggest detractor for him moving forward. Maturity is a big thing in the NFL. Some guys get it right away. Your guys like Brian Branch got it right away. Your guys like Aiden Hutchinson, they get it right away. Amon-Ra St. Brown, they get it right away. There's some guys that enter the league that are just at a different level. And maturity goes a long way in the NFL. Even if you had more maturity and less physical skills, I think you could end up being a better football player than some of the guys that have the best attributes, the best agility, and they're not mature enough. They don't have it here. Like I've said this for a long time. When you enter the NFL, every single person, every player has the physical gifts, right? It's what you do from here up. It's this 10%, right? Now it's 90-10. It's 90 mental, 10 physical. Getting into the league, I think it's the other way. It's 90 physical, 10 mental. You still got to be smart, but you have to have the physical gifts to even get to a college team. You get, an opportunity to play on a college team. And then you start to develop everything else, right? To make it into the NFL, well, you better have the physical gifts because everyone does. Now, how smart are you from the shoulder up? If you don't have it, it won't last long. And even some of the guys that get taken, the risky picks that have all of the attributes in the world, as far as agility and physicalness, but they just can't get out of their own way mentally with the maturity and not living in that playbook. That's the biggest difference I see. Corey, 30 seconds on that for you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, maturity matters 100%. And then you're seeing a new way to kind of judge that with this new NIL landscape, like someone in the chat was mentioning. Like it has exposed a lot of motives and it's another measuring stick. If you don't think that GMs and coaches are looking at that information, I think that would be pretty, ignorant of us to think with this landscape. That's another measurable that you can not judge somebody, but you can have another data point of saying like, well, is this guy, what were his motivations for leaving one school to another, right? Has he maybe chased the money, or is he doing it for the love of the game? There's so much to that, and maturity matters. And when you get that maturity, and this is again to the point where we're talking about Kellen Moore taking the oldest quarterback ever in the draft, not ever, but like one of the older quarterbacks. Maybe you get a guy who's already done that process throughout college, and then when he comes to the league, you don't have to worry about that, and you don't have to develop that maturity, because what I do know about is that sometimes it never develops. Sometimes that guy just doesn't mature, and then he's out of the league and could have had, like you said, all the physical characteristics in the world and tons of potential, that keyword that everyone loves. But if it doesn't become results, then see you later. We're not paying you, especially a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. I think this Mike Ditka guy doesn't understand what happened last year to the Lions. Trying to say, and big shout out to All 22 Films in the house this morning. Good morning, buddy. That's Derek there at All 22. Catch his Lions content, please. He does amazing breakdowns of the Lions and the Ravens. So Mike Ditka's fury, let me just point this out real quick, buddy. The Lions were down, 21, 22 players, 23 players to IR last year. More than 8 starters on the defensive side of the football. And you lose Amik Robertson on snap 2. The only reason why the Commanders beat the Lions last year were for 2 reasons. I hate to make excuses for injuries, but it's real. And stubbornness. Aaron Glenn decided to blitz an RPO, and no other team that was successful against the Commanders blitzed the RPO. So those 2 things are the only reason why the Lions did what they did. I'm not going to make excuses. I don't think that they were ever going to win that football game, even though I'm not going to say that leading up to the game. I was excited about it. We wouldn't have won the next week anyway, had we won. We were down too many football players. It is what it is. Sometimes your back is just up against the wall. There's no way to fight out of it, right? In that situation, you just have to concede the loss and move on. It is what it is. It's not what we want to hear. It's not what we want to see, but I'm not going to let someone sit here and say that we got dispatched. because we didn't. We dispatched ourselves because we didn't have any football players on the field. Big difference here. Now, let me know when the Bears beat the Lions. Okay, we'll start with that. Let's not worry about the Commanders. Last topic of the day, like I said, this unfiltered unfiltered executive stance on the Detroit Lions. I'm going to try to run through these. I know it's 10 a.m., so we're going to jump off real quick here as soon as I get through this one. The Lions' first 2 picks, defensive tackle Tyleik Williams and guard Tate Ratledge, weigh a combined 626 pounds. Any questions? All right, I love that. They started off talking about the Detroit Lions and how, you look at the draft picks, what did they do? Did they get better? Did they regress? What did they address? And so that's the first statement. The Lions' first 2 picks, 626 pounds. Here's the quote. Keep building on the lines, which is what they do here. This was an unfiltered executive. Obviously, that person is not named. They play to their strengths, and let's call it what it is, the Philly mindset. Not a bad strategy. And then they got 3 players from Georgia, 1 from Ohio State and 1 from LSU. Big schools, close quote. The Lions over the past 3 drafts have used first-round picks for a running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, an off-ball linebacker, Jack Campbell, and a run-stuffing defensive tackle, Tyleik Williams, plus 1 at a premium position in cornerback, Tyrion Arnold. Quote, they pretty much took a run-defending nose tackle in the first round, but they are very firm on their style of football, and it has paid off, so they get the benefit of the doubt. Another executive said that about taking Tyleik Williams. The Lions traded 2 2026 third-round picks to Jacksonville to move up to number 102. Move up from 102 to number 70 for Isaac Tesla. Was easier with Detroit adding compensatory thirds after former defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn became the New York Jets head coach. But it was another move to find analytical models. Here's what the exec said. They are confidently aggressive. Maybe that is the coach, Dan Campbell, just saying, we are going to kick ass and take names forever. I love it. So those are 3 statements from executives around the NFL, all positive. What do you guys think about those statements? I'll start with you, Corey. We'll go around the room and we'll be done here in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I just think that they respect what the Lions have done. I think just to like what we've been saying, building that culture, having that confidence, having that swagger. If you're not making moves that you believe in, then what kind of moves are you making as an executive? You're probably in the wrong position. And I think there's a mutual respect around the room, and when they get together, which is often, in these key moments that they go, these dudes have done it right, and it shows to their brand, and they're true to their brand. And I think that that's all we can ask for is to have an identity and stick to it. Now, whether that's going to be successful on the field, that plays itself out every year. But if you look at the track record, it is positive, just like those comments were.
I think so too. Riley, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, very well said. Confidently aggressive. It makes perfect sense. You can't fake the excitement and the emotion that we see, when the camera goes to Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell in the draft room, and it's a no-brainer. Yep, call it in. Tyleik, that's who we want. Brad Holmes says he says he's not the best receiver in the draft. I'm not saying that, but he is my favorite. Those are players that if they, Tate Ratledge, they're going in. That's just the first few rounds. These are the players that they're coming out of it with. Obviously, they're very excited. They're confident, and I like that. You can't change it up. Every draft, the approach has been the same, even if it's been surprising in the moment how it's unfolded. But as the dust settles, these are players that, I think that Brad Holmes would draft them all of them again, just the same way he did.
I agree. I think that Brad's doing it the way that he knows how to do it, which is to build this team for the future and for now. That's a tough balancing act. Like in the beginning, you don't have a choice. All my guys are playing. But as you move, into the 3rd and 4th and now 5th draft, I need some guys to play. I need some guys to build. I need some high value football players, and I need some guys that can go knock it out of the park. And I think he's been doing a really good mixture at that, and he's been very aggressive at the same time to go up and get the guys that they want. There's one thing we know about Brad. If he likes a guy, if he trusts it in the film and what the scout team has brought to him and his own judgment based on what he's evaluated, he's going to go get the guy. And if he has that much confidence in it, I trust it because so far it hasn't failed. I don't care about the later round draft picks as much that, where some of them like Broderick Martin was a a project, or Giovanni Manu was a project. It's so far and few between that third round picks start in the NFL, at a high level. So don't expect that out of every pick. The gems that he finds, let's focus on those, right? The Amon-Ra St. Browns that everyone discarded. Now, potentially the Ahmed Hassan pick could end up being a draft gem, right? Just go and look. The Kirby Joseph, draft gem, right? Brian Branch falls, draft gem, right? Brad hits more often than not and has provided this team with depth and sustainability. I'm excited about it. We'll go 30 seconds to you, Riley. Send us off for the day. Wrap up your thoughts, and then we'll go to you, Corey, and we're out of here.
Yes, sir. No better place to be. No better place to start your day than the Rocked On Detroit Lions Rise and Grind Morning Show. I want to say thank you to everybody for hanging out with us this morning. Corey, it's great to have you join the team, man. It's you got great takes. It makes perfect sense. Will, I think, was as convicted in getting you on the team as Brad Holmes was in drafting your brother. So,
oh, I like that. That would be awesome if he really did feel that way. Thank you, Riley. I really appreciate that, man. And it's fun to be on. It's fun to talk football with guys that know what they're talking about. And you and Will are both been super great, and I'm happy to be here. I encourage everyone to come back, share, and like all the stuff that we're putting out. It's going to get better. Like Will was saying, the trajectory of the channel's on its way up. Even like getting some ulterior takes in the chat. Like I encourage Mike Digta's Fury to come back, because that's what makes football so fun, right? Is the rivalries, right? The competition. And at the end of the day, right? Like my brother's going to be out on the field and our team is going to be out there playing the game. But at the end, we're going to come back here and we're going to talk about it. We're going to discover deeper and more appreciation for the game, for the team, for the players, for the competition. And so, love having everyone here, and stay tuned for tomorrow as well. I think we're doing a special, schedule break. So get back to Rocked On as much as you can and share it, because it's going to be good.
So tomorrow night, yes, we're going to do our schedule release, our watch party, and it's going to be Corey's first reaction to the schedule. You can't miss it. I've been taking some comments. It's been kind of tough to get all the comments in the last half hour because we have a rival in the house. So the conversations have been kind of going back and forth about that. But I do have 3 here, and I'm going to save it for tonight. So I will be back tonight. We might be doing the raffle tonight. I think I'm solo tonight, which is perfectly fine. I'm just going to be in and out tonight. We're going to do a quick conversation. I want to get the spin or get the vote for these comments, and then we'll add a new winner of the day and probably get the spin done for the football. So we'll see you guys tomorrow in the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing the release again, and then I'll be in tonight to do some quick work on what's going on with the Detroit Lions. Corey, Riley, always a pleasure. I appreciate you guys. Again, I'm super excited at the trajectory of this channel. We're going to start getting more videos and things pumping and more clips and things pumping. Just takes a little bit of time. I'm in that funny season of it's yard work, it's put the house up for sale, it's do all these different things. So we've got a lot going on right now. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Riley, Corey, always a pleasure. We'll see you in the next one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. 1 2 1 2.
Hey yo, AC.
1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Hey. Against all odds. 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 Against all odds.